Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. This feels so strange. I'm doing a sit down video today rather than the typical vlogs that you've been seeing. There's more coming your way, but I've got a request to do a video all about student finance and kind of student banking and everything like that, which I thought was a really great idea and actually something that I haven't necessarily done on my channel before, and just something that I think would be really valuable because it can be very intimidating. They're big numbers, and if you haven't done it before or you don't have advice from someone who has done it before, it can all get a bit much. So I just wanted to sit here, chat to you today. I've literally just done some research. I'm just going off of my own experience here. I'm definitely not like a financial advisor or anything like that, but I just thought it'd be fun to chat about it and hopefully just give you a bit of peace of mind hearing about student finance from someone who's lived it. So hopefully you enjoy this video. I'm going to try and make it really informative and practical and give you some really great takeaways to take away with you and use whilst you're at university, so I hope you enjoy. So first thing, I thought it would just be good to clarify that you do have a student loan or like a maintenance loan, and then you have your tuition fees. So they are considered different things, I guess. They're all kind of figured out and worked out by the same people, but your student loan or your maintenance loan, whatever you prefer to call it, will be there to help you with your living costs and like uni expenses in terms of books and trips and things like that. Your tuition fees are pretty much what they say on the tin. They are the fees for your tuition. So each year your university will come at a price. Usually it's around $9,250. Sometimes it can be a little bit less if you're very lucky, but that tends to be the standard now. So you have your tuition fees, which you can either choose to pay for yourself, which I have had friends do. They just pay the lump sum of £9,250 just to get it sorted so that they don't have to pay it back ever. Like there's no debt there, they just pay it, job done. Or you can choose to get those fees covered by the government, which is what I did. So they sort that out for you. You never see that money. It's not like the £9,000 comes into your bank account and then you have to pay the university. The government pays the university by themselves. It's all worked out for you, but eventually you do have to pay that money back. And then your student loan is different for every person, and obviously here I am talking about national students, English students, just because I haven't had experience of international student financing or anything like that. But your maintenance loan or your student loan gets worked out depending on where your university is and how much your household income is. So they're kind of the two main factors. So for me personally, I obviously went to a university in London, so I get a little bit of a higher student loan just because living costs in London are a little bit higher. And then they also use your household income to kind of figure out whether your parents are going to be able to afford to help you out through uni, to be able to pay you a bit or like support your food or transport or whatever whilst you're at uni, or whether actually you're quite tight on cash, your parents probably won't be able to help you. This is kind of a venture you're going to have to do by yourself. So usually households with a lower income get a higher student loan. Some people find that like a little bit silly way of working it out, just because your parents get a lot of money doesn't necessarily mean that you'll see any of it. So there is some kind of controversies with that, but I think all in all, like, it's just the way they work it out. So try and be honest on your form. I did a just like mock example to give you an example. Don't know what else to call it, but I said that I was going to university in London and that my household income was 45,000, and obviously your household income would include your mum and your dad if they're still together, or whoever the earnings are coming from in your household. So I put £45,000, and that would give you a maintenance loan of £9,330, and that is for the year. So whether that's year 1, year 2, year 3, they usually work it out each year separately. They don't give you like all of your student loan that you'll get throughout the 4 years that you're at university, maybe 3 years. They will work it out each year, and you'll get a new letter each year to confirm how much your student loan will be. And that is just an example, but say you earn more than that, your student loan would be smaller. I think my student loan was somewhere around £5,000, I think, around there, for the year. I think that was year 2 of university or something, but I actually had to apply for more student loan because it was not going to cover my rent, and my parents weren't going to be able to help me, so I would have much rather have applied for a higher student loan and knowing that I will have to pay it back eventually, but at least then I have the kind of like peace of mind that my rent is covered. So that is something you can do. Bear that in mind. You can always apply for more student loan, but do bear in mind that you are going to have to pay it back eventually, so don't be asking for the whole £10,000 if you aren't going to be able to pay it back. The next question I thought was worth answering is, when will you get your student loan? I think some people think you just like get it at the start of the year in like one lump sum, which isn't really how it works. You get a quarter of the lump sum every term. So if you have 4 terms, which usually you do, your first one will be like September, then like January, then April, and then I think June or July, somewhere around there. So you'll get a quarter each term, which works out to be the whole 100% of your student loan. But it does mean that that lump sum of money needs to cover you for those 3 or 4 months of term, and sometimes you only have 3 terms of uni, like I did. My university ended in April or May, and I had to wait until June, July to get my last instalment of my student loan, which was a bit pointless by that point because I was like back living at home for summer holidays. So it doesn't always work out the best way, and you don't get it all in one lump sum, but it tends to be you get a quarter every term. So I think for me, in my £5,000 or £6,000, I worked out at about like £1,600 or something a term, so that would last me the 3 or 4 months that my term lasted. When do you have to pay back your student loan? The golden question, and something that I still find a bit tricky to wrap my head around. So I think you have to earn over £26,575 a year, so that will be your like yearly income in your new job, post-grad or whenever it is that you're eligible making that much money. You will then start paying back your student loan. If you don't get to that point, if after 30 years you never make over £27,000, it gets written off. That debt disappears, you do not have to pay it back, which I guess is nice, because even if you do pay it back over the years and you never pay it back fully, gone, written off. So that's nice to know. Kind of makes it feel a little bit lighter of a debt, I guess, in some ways. But they also take, so the way they work it out is after you make over that certain amount, they take 9% of the money that you make over that threshold. That's really confusing, and I know that's not going to make sense, so I have got an example written down which I will read because I thought it would help you like visualise it or see the numbers in your head. At least that's the way I saw it. So say your income per month is £2,000, the threshold would be £1,615. So you've gone over the threshold. The threshold's £1,615, you're making £2,000. So they will take 9% of the little bit that you make over the threshold. So the £385 difference between the £1,615 and the £2,000, there's £385 difference. They will take 9% of that portion, which is £34. Does that make sense? So if you make £1 over the threshold, they will take 9% of that £1, but they will leave the rest of the money alone. If you make £50,000 more than the threshold, they will take 9% of that £50,000. I hope that makes sense. It's really hard. Numbers are not my friend necessarily, so it's really hard to try and explain it in a way when I can't, like, I don't know if that makes sense to you because I can't ask you and you reply, but hopefully that makes sense. I also had a lot of people asking me about student current accounts, so like student banking, and whether it was worth it. It's really hard to give you like a simple answer, like a yes or no answer, because obviously it depends on your circumstances and on the banks, because some banks do offer really great benefits if you open a student account with them. So for example, I had a Santander student account, which at the time meant I got a free overdraft of, I think it was £150. So usually on an overdraft for a bank, when you use more money than is in your account, they will charge you for using that money that actually isn't in your account. You're like borrowing that money from your overdraft. They will charge you on that overdraft, but with the student account, they didn't charge you. So it was basically free money which you had to pay back, but there was just no extra charges on it. So say I used the whole £150, at the end of the month I would need to pay back that £150, but I wouldn't necessarily get charged on that £150. I'm saying a lot of numbers, it's getting very confusing, but that was one of the benefits. So there are some benefits to having a student bank account, but I would just say you have to be careful with them because they can catch you out very easily. I know some student bank accounts have overdrafts of like £2,000, a free overdraft of £2,000, which is very tempting to a broke student, let me tell you. And it's very easy to be like, oh yeah, I'll just use that £2,000 in my overdraft because it's free, I'm not getting charged on it, so I will just pay it back eventually. But if you never pay it back, you're going to be in some serious debt and some serious trouble, and it can be very difficult to dig your way out of that. So just be careful and treat it with respect, and don't just see it as free money, even though that's kind of what they tell you it is. It really isn't. So I would definitely talk to someone at the banks, maybe an older sibling, a parent or what have you, before you go ahead and open a student account, just to make sure if it is the right fit for you, and if you feel like I don't want to sound patronising, but if you're like responsible enough to deal with that, because money is quite a big responsibility and it can go wrong very easily if you don't handle that responsibility well, if that makes sense. So I guess I do think it can be very beneficial. They do have lots of different benefits to them, and for me personally, I did use my overdraft every month because I think I used like £70 of my overdraft, and I knew I had £70 coming into my bank account every month, which would just top it up, like fill my overdraft back up. So I never went in like minus my overdraft, and it was never just an outstanding amount, like it got topped back up each month, kind of like a credit card, I guess. I was always repaying it, so it didn't get to that stage for me. So it did give me a huge benefit because it meant I could spend a bit more than was already in my bank account without getting charged, and that could only happen with a student account. Then I guess lastly, I just wanted to give you a few finance tips, I guess, or things that I've learned through my student finance journey, of things that I wish I had done differently, or things that I learned the hard way that I thought I would share with you, hopefully for you to just take away or help you out in some way or another. I think the first thing is to treat it like a wage from a job. I think it's really easy when you're given like £1,500 at the start of term to see it as free money and just be like, this is my money, I can spend it any way I like, woohoo. But if you treat it like a wage, you kind of treat it with a bit more respect, I feel like, because it kind of gives you a mentality like, oh wait, this does have to cover my food and my transport and my books and my Spotify premium account or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are certain bills and things that you have to pay off before that. So I guess that goes then into budgeting. I would budget your student loan, which I know sounds super boring, especially when you just get this lump sum of money. You're like, I'm gonna go out and party, I'm a student, it's freshers week, like why not? But like I said a few times, that money does have to last you the whole term, and it can get very tight towards the end of term if you haven't budgeted. I learned this the hard way. I was like literally living off baked beans the last like 3 weeks of term because I had spent all my student loan. So do kind of treat it with some respect. Try and figure out the budget that works for you, and to make sure that you have enough to see you through the whole term in time for your next instalment of your student loan. And although I have told you many a time to respect your student loan, I would also say enjoy it. Like, you're not going to be a student forever. Yes, you do have to pay the money back. Yes, you will have to pay back your overdraft, but you are a student, so if you can afford to use some of your student loan for a holiday or a girls trip or a like mini staycation with your family, why not do it? You know, that money is there for you to spend on what you find to be a priority during your time as a student, whether that's food or whether that's a vacation, you decide, but just make sure that you're using it responsibly, that you have enough to see you through, because it can get very tight towards the end of term, and hopefully you'll be all good to go. But yeah, I know I have just rambled for a very long time about a lot of things and said a lot of numbers. I hope some of it made sense. I know I'm not the best person to be dishing out finance advice. I'm not qualified in any shape or form, and it was a struggle for me, not gonna lie. Some of my student financing throughout university was a learning curve, but I just wanted to hop on here, share some of my thoughts and some advice that I have and things that I've learned along the way, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and please leave any other questions or comments or anything like that down below, and I will definitely try and get back to you down there, or you can head over to Instagram and DM me because I'm pretty good at replying on there as well. But I post new videos every Sunday, so I really hope to see you soon.